Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. It's Kate Richburg, and it is Friday, June 16th. Welcome to Free Tip Friday. I don't know what my hair is doing. I've been doing yard work this morning, so that's why I may still be a little red, but it's such a beautiful day here. I need to get a little yard work done before my broadcast, and then I realized, I got a broadcast I got to do. Now my glasses are kind of foggy. It's great to see you all here today. Today is going to be all about wire, which, as you know, is my spirit animal. I love wire. Wire's my gig. So I'm going to share with you. Gosh, everybody's here. Great. It's so great to see you all. Kathy, this is your first time joining a live. Welcome. It's great to have you. Awesome. I believe that Drea is also here. I thought she jumped in to say hello there. Christine is here, Whitney Studios. And I want to say, before I forget, a quick happy Father's Day in the US. Enjoy all those special guys in your lives, dads or no. I have the best dad, so just so you know, I do. And I think maybe he's watching, so hi, Pop. What else do we have going on today? My mama is here. Donna Chandler is here. Gosh, so many people are jumping in and saying hello. It's great to have all of you folks here. Just a quick note. Remember, engagement, kids, is the name of the game for social media now, and all of these streaming broadcasts that people do. So if you would hit that engagement, hit that thumbs up, hit that like, hit that share, so that other people can find this bead shop content, it would be terrific. Just a quick note here. Remember, you can find us on all of our social at beadshop.com, on Facebook, our Facebook group called The Bead Table. It'd be great to have you over there. Instagram, tag us if you make something with our product or projects. Check out our Pinterest boards. They're really great with a lot of cool ideas over there. And if you have any questions, don't forget to email us over at info@beadshop.com. Drea gets back to you right away. So today, what we're doing, you may have seen this in today's newsletter. Let me step over here while I take a drink of water. I posted this over on the Bead Table maybe a few weeks ago. I don't know. This was kind of going around the internet. And it's a cool piece that Alexander Calder did for his mom. And there's a more backstory in the newsletter this morning. But it super captivated me. And what captivated me the most was that clasp. So we're going to play with that clasp. I've perfected it-ish. So it'll takes a little bit of work, but a little bit of wire skill, but I know you're up to it. And then he wire wrapped all of these really cool shards of pottery. And I'm wondering if those shards had any kind of significance, or if it's found objects that he found or whatever. You may know Alexander Calder from his mobiles, right? And the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art has a really wonderful Calder collection that they rotate through the museum, and a lot of different museums have Calder pieces. But he also was a great wire jewelry artist as well. So he really has inspired me all of these years. I love wire, as you know. So today we're just going to play around and let's see what comes out of it. I'm going to start off by showing you how to make that clasp, and then we'll jump in to other things. Let me see if there's any more questions that I didn't see. Okay, perfect. All right, I've got this. I know Don's saying, I want that necklace. I do too. I love it. It would be great. Oh, and Francesca is here. Hello, my friend. It's good to see you. And Sue is saying that the shards kind of have a weathered look like beach glass or shards you find on the beach. This would be a great thing to use your beach glass with. So let me add my other camera. Let me highlight that camera. And let's get into it. Let me zoom out here. And I'm going to hydrate one more time because it's hot here in front. Well, it says it's 80 already, but for 10:42 in the morning, it's a little warm. Okay, hydrating. I've got some things in front of me, and I've got the clasp in front of me. So without further ado, let's talk about this clasp, because I know that a lot of you were kind of into it, as I was. So the clasp, the way that it goes together, it's like a corkscrew. Okay, so you can see that tip there, you put it together and it rotates in, okay, like that. So I used 18 gauge for this, I think I used 18. Regardless, I'm gonna use 18. That's what I'm gonna use. And of course, I'm here working without my wire straightening plier. I think it's in my other toolbox, but with my wire straighteners, you can always get that wire nice and straight. I think I might have them. I don't see them. I don't know. All of a sudden, they're just disappeared. That's all right. I'm going to use a piece of fabric to kind of run down, or a paper towel. You can use that in a pinch. Not my favorite, but it'll work. This is 18 gauge, bare copper wire. Okay. So I'm going to cut, I don't know, 6 inches here. And I think what I did was I don't remember which half I made first. I think I made this half first. Let me do that. Okay. So you can see let me show you kind of the layout of this clasp. Where did my awl go? It was sitting here, with that big, here it is. A little bit easier to point. You can see here that the wire starts here, comes down, spirals, and then wraps, okay, to make that corkscrew. Okay. Then it's the same way, except I started with the corkscrew. And then I came down, I did an interior, I did a spiral there, came back around, and then finished it off right here. Okay. So let's start with this one. And I've only made this one. Way to prep, Richburg. But so kind of stick with me on this for the moment. If I screw up, I'll start again. Whatever, it's just wire. I am going to file the end of that wire. I've got some sandpaper, at least I did, sitting here. You could use a file as well, but I'm going to actually cut this end off a little bit, but I've got a little bit of sandpaper here that I'm going to file this end kind of flush with as well, so it doesn't catch on anything. So I'm going to make this section where the corkscrew goes. I'm going to do it maybe like an inch, and then I'll be able to cut some away. Okay, so here's this. Yeah, that's right. Then I made a right angle bend because I needed to go into the spiral. Okay, so a nice right angle bend with my chain nose. Now I'm going to get my round nose plier. And it depends on how large you want this circle to be. Let's take a look really quick. Let me pull that photo back up. See the clasp there, how it looks like it's strung on twine, which is cool. I love it. But it's simply tied on, okay? So you need kind of the center of that spiral to be large enough so you can get cord through it, okay? So you could use a wire rounder, Christine, and I have one. It's called a cup burr is what it is, and you can get cup burrs for your Dremel, or you can get them in a little handle or whatever. Cup burrs, C-U-P, like cup that you drink out of, burr, B-U-R-R, easy. And you get them for the different gauges of wire that you use. So I'm going to come in, I don't know, about this big around my tool here. So I've got a nice loop. Now I could stop here and I could, wrap and wrap if I wanted, but I want a little more, like if Calder did it, I'm going to do it, a little more spiral. So see here, now I'm using my bent or my regular chain nose, and I'm kind of flattening everything out. Remember, your flat chain nose, these are your bending pliers and your smushing pliers. That's not really the right term, but these are the pliers that move your wire, okay? These round nose pliers, these are what round up your wire or loop your wire, okay? So I wouldn't be grabbing this wire with these round nose pliers because see, the heads are round. They don't come together in a nice flat grip, right? But these here, these chain nose, they come together in a nice flat grip, okay? You can also use, Tria, you're so funny. Yes, smushing pliers, trademark, that's right. That is correct. You could also use we carry them here, our parallel pliers. And I may use these when I'm grabbing and wrapping the wire. See how the parallel pliers come together this way? It's like two walls coming together this way, right? Like this. Whereas the chain nose, they curve a little bit, right? Or they come in from here and go in this way. So there's a little bit of a difference. I love we carry the parallel pliers in all of the different shapes, which is great. Okay, so let's go ahead and very gently use that center of the spiral as the, what do I want to say, as the form to wrap your second spiral around, okay, like that. And then I think all I need to do is do it twice, like this, okay? Be careful about your grip, and I probably should do it with these, though I like a really sharp edge here when I bend. But a lot of wire workers and metalsmiths, they take their Dremel and they sand this down. They knock this side down just a touch I do that with some of my pliers. I've modified some pliers for metal smithing. But this, when I'm doing ear wires, I like a nice crisp bend, so that's why I have this. But you want to be really careful. Can you see I've marked my wire right there? So I can kind of smoosh it out a little. I can also come in and hammer that out a little bit so it kind of feathers in to what I've got going on here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this wire around. See that, like that? And this is the coil. Again, this is 18 gauge that I'm using, so it's pretty heavy. This is just bare copper wire here. It's dead soft, it's not half hard. And then make this coil. How many coils did I make it? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks about right. Okay. So I'm going to put this aside for a second. And now I'm going to tackle the other side. Okay? Because these have to fit. If they don't fit, it's not going to work. A little more hydration. Drink your water. If you have water in front of you, everybody take some water. Dria's, all of our tools. We have a ton of tools. If you just go beadshop.com/selection/tools, they're all there. Karen, I'm glad that your eye is getting better. That's good. You know, we all go through these trials and tribulations. I pray every day that my eyes and my hands keep going, you know. So let's just be thankful we're waking up on the right side of the grass today, right? I'm telling you. All right, so another piece of wire. Let me cut it. Now this side, what I did, I kind of did it, I may have done this the same way actually. This one you can see it's the same, but it's hollow, right? So what I do here is I'm going to use this 18 gauge as my mandrel because that's the same as I wrap this around, right? Okay. So let me hold it. Let me hold it with my parallel pliers. Maybe I'll get some better grip. I'm going to have some waste on this because the top of this is going to be a little, it's going to be a little smushed. But see how I've got it here? Now I'm going to come in and I just have to make that first wrap. There we go. See that? I don't want to make it too tight because I'm going to have to slide this off. But I'm going to make 4 wraps. See that there? Now I'm going to cut this. I'm going to pull this out. And I'm going to cut away about right there the excess. Okay. Now, oh, Dawn, yes, this is exactly right. Agreed 100%. Don't be afraid of modifying your tools. They are there to work for you, right? Your tools are your workhorses. They are beholden to you, not the other way around. So don't be afraid to modify them. 100% correct. I agree. Now, see how I cut away that extra? And now I'm going to take my flush cutter and I'm going to cut that wire flush so these both are kind of flush that way. Okay. Now, and Pam's asking, well, how are you able to get the screws even? Well, we're going to check and see if it's even. That's why I kind of do this first. I eyeball it And then I try and make the other one match. Okay, that's, there's no other secret than that. So there we go. See, as long as the openings that you made on this first clasp are large enough, it's going to fit. Okay. And make sure, folks, because I did this the wrong way the first time I did this, I want to mention it, that your twist, your coil is going in like the same direction, right? So if the two coils came together here, they'd be going in the same direction. Okay, so all you do to put it in is you just kind of connect them there at the end and you twist. And I can kind of look at it now when they're sort of twisted together, and I can go, okay, that can go down a little bit more, and this one can go down a little bit more. Come in and file that a little bit more there, right? But this, check and make sure your mechanism works, and it looks like it does. Okay. It is kind of magic, right? I don't know. I just looked at it. I spent a day, I looked at it. I let it simmer, and I worked on it the next day. My mom loves Calder. My mom, growing up, we had a print from, it was called Homage to Calder. My mom saw it, I can't remember which museum, Ma, you went to, but we always had that print hanging in our house. So a piece of trivia for my mom about Calder. Both of his parents were artists, but they didn't want him to be an artist. He graduated college with a degree in mechanical engineering. I love that. Hence this clasp, right? Really cool. So and hence his mobiles and stuff. They're so magical. So let me come in now, and we're going to make the opposite side. Again, I'm going to start with the inside loop, like that, right around my round nose. Then I'm going to get my chain nose and continue on. Use that spiral as the base. I didn't leave quite enough space here. Maybe I can get it. You want to leave a little bit. See what I did here? I left a little bit of a neck to wire wrap this around. But I'm going to keep going. Let me see where I can tuck this bit in. Maybe I'll just do this. Yeah, I can do that. Bring it around. There we go. That's fine. Like that. Clip. Holding on to that wire so it doesn't hit you in the head. And tighten it up. Now we want to make sure that our clasps are even. Looks even. Let's see. I can close this up. Maybe I need to hold it in this hand. What's the matter with me? All of a sudden, I can't close this clasp. There we go. My hands were like, no, you cannot. All this talk about hand surgeries, my hands were all and seen. So there we go. We've got our clasp. Look how cool it is. I love it. 18 gauge. Kind of interesting. I don't know. I really love it. And it's pretty tight. I mean, it's not going anywhere because we wrapped this spiral around that 18 gauge. That's the thing. You want to make sure that whatever you're wrapping, when you make your coil or your spiral there, your coil is what it is, that it is the same diameter as that 18 gauge wire. And then this might be just a little bit sharp back here, so file it down so it's nice and closed. So now let's take a look how this clasp is used. So the way that the necklace, let me get it on here. The necklace is done with twine. Okay, so let's, I've got some Chinese knotting cord here, which I'm going to use for my twine, or I also have some hemp cord too. You can't see that. Let me get it there. Let me just play around here now and see what happens. Okay, just stick with me on this. Let's see what our next steps are. It looks like Calder loved, as much as I do, loved spirals. Okay, so let's start. And Trudy, that's a good question. I want to see, will the string and attached necklace twist when the clasp is twisted to close? I'm not sure. So we're going to see how that plays out. Okay, I haven't gone much further, but we're going to right now. So let me get some stuff here. Let me get some of these saucers. We just launched on Tuesday these really great Ashanti saucers in some new colors, which I like a lot. So, and they're great for this kind of wire work. Let me see if I can get this here. My mom's like, yeah, go get the kitchen string and tea dye it in my coffee. That's exactly what it looks like, Ma. It looks like kitchen twine, 100%. I'm going to put our clasps over there. Let me make a few things to hang off of this, and then I'm going to string them. Okay. These are the Lagoon. This is the Lagoon color of Ashantis. So let me use them. I'm going to pop down to 20 gauge wire. I also have some 22 gauge here, all copper. Okay. So I'm going to cut, I don't know, about a foot. How does that sound? I'm going to start with a spiral. Okay. Oh, and Pam loved the wallpaper images. I'm so glad, Pam. Great job. That was all Drea. Drea, you want to type a little description of the wallpaper, and I'll put it up on the screen. It was really cool. I'm going to start by making a spiral, and I'm going to smush. I want this spiral to be kind of nice and even and round in the center. So I'm actually going to kind of thin out the end of my wire here like this. And if I want to file it a little bit with some sandpaper, I can to make it nice and clean. Now I'm going to start my spiral. Notice how I'm using my chain nose plier. Why am I using my chain nose plier, friends? Because these are grippers, and I want to grip my wire and bring this around so it has a nice round loop, right? So I can then kind of push it in, and it's going to be nice and round and even. Okay, I'll show you what, see, because then this curve doesn't have a little kink in it. And I'll show you, I'll start a spiral with my round nose pliers, and you'll see what I mean. So now I'm just going to continue to spiral. Notice how I'm using my chain nose pliers, right, to do that. And what I did, I'm here at the bottom of my tool, the bottom like quarter of the tool. I'm holding that spiral in the heads of my plier, between the jaws of the plier. This wire is coming out at a right angle. From that right angle, I then push my wire up so it forms against the wire right here. Okay, just so then the wire comes from 90 degrees up to parallel with the tips of the plier. Open my tool, and I work in the bottom here because I've got the most grip with these pliers. And I'm using our very simple, not super fancy German needle nose. These are the tools. This is the pair of pliers I've been using, not this exact one, but I still have mine from 1992 when I bought them at the bead shop to do my wire work with. This is hands down. It's the right size for my hand. I don't want fancy handles. I don't want any of that. I want a simple tool. So take a look at this spiral, everyone. Look at how nice and closed and tight that spiral is. Calder would be proud of me, right? So now I'm going to flatten it just a little. So let me get this out of the way. And even if you wouldn't, I don't care. Alexander, I don't need your... I'm Kate Richburg. I don't need your approval. No, I don't know. Yes, I do. He likes me. He really, really likes me. Here is Drea. You're so funny. Drea, what would I do without you? I have no idea. So here is my bench block. A little worse for wear, but not too bad. My chasing hammer. I'm going to put my spiral down right here on my bench block. I'm going to mute this so it's not too loud when I hammer. So I'm going to mute it, hammer, and then I'll be back. Okay, unmuted. Okay, so this is just flattened, hammered, and notice how I didn't flatten it super evenly. When I hammer down with my chasing hammer, I strike and pull, strike and pull, okay? Strike and pull. And so that gives me some dimension to my spiral there, okay? The chasing hammer, it's used to chase metal or form metal. So this particular shape of hammer is called a chasing hammer, and it's meant to move your metal around. You also use these traditionally when you are doing what do I want to say? It's not engraving, but if you are using an engraving tool or a stamping tool and you're hammering and moving that tool along the metal like this to form a line, it would be, you make like a sharpened metal punch, I guess is what you'd want to call it. And you tap and move that metal across. You move that tool across your metal. That's called chasing. And so this is the shape. This is the hammer that you'd use for chasing. So it's continued to all metal, all hammers the heads of the hammers are used for very specific applications. And so the hammers are named by the shape of the head or the type of the head. Okay, so anyway, that's that. Okay, let me zoom this out. And let's get back to this thing. So now I've got this spiral. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this into a spiral charm. I'm going to grab it with my pliers, bend it up a little bit, right there. So it's at a 90-degree angle, and then I'm going to bend it flat. Gosh, I haven't worked with wire in so long, my hands feel clumsy. I'm going to cut away the extra, and I'm just going to make a loop up and over the top. I've used these charms. I use these charms all the time. Remember that on Tuesday, that epic broadcast I did when we were just hanging out in my studio? I showed you this wire piece. Well, I'm going to show it to you again because it'll make more sense now. Let me zoom out. This really is just a series of spirals, right? One big spiral made the same way. This is 12 gauge or 10 gauge. This might even be 10 gauge. I'm not sure. Spiral charms, just like I did here. Same thing, only heavier gauge. I think this is 16 gauge here. This, see that spiral that I did right there? That spiral is the same, done the same way around an armature as this side of the clasp, right? It's the same thing, right? Here, this end, this bottom, this is just chased, and then I used my hole punch. It was large enough so I could put a hole through it. Another charm like that, right? Finishing this off with just a wrap here. This, another big spiral. So it's the same technique, folks. The same technique. It's just all in how you apply it. Okay. So I'm going to move a little faster here at Kate speed and see if I can make some charms. I'm going to go for 22 gauge. I want something that's a little more malleable. So hang in here with me. And then, because I want to put it all together on some cord so we can see how that clasp actually works. My velvet pad is about 14 inches, so I'm going to use that for my length. And I'm just going to wrap some of these once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. And depending on the hole size, some of these Ashanti Saucers have holes that are larger and some are a little bit smaller. This one, I'm going to wrap 5. If your hands get tired, use your tool to help you pull that through. Okay. So now here, I'm going to hold this wire together. I'm going to bend at an angle, up and over, down and underneath. I'm going to make this a double wrap, up and over again, down and underneath. So visually, it has a little more weight to it. Nice big loop. Hold it in my flat chain nose and wrap. This is 22 gauge that I've got here. And I'm going to wrap back up so that not the messy wrap that I did yesterday with the earrings, but a neater one below the other. Gosh, I'm being really heavy-handed. You can tell I haven't done wire in a while. Well, I'm going to go with that. That's how it's going to be. I'm going to clip away this extra. No, I lied. I'm going to clip away this extra right here. Pull it down, clip. about this much. Get that inside. See that spiral? How I'm working like this? So it gives me that curve. Once I've got that curve, then I can start to spiral. I see my friend Millie Lloyd there. Millie, happy Friday. Millie has such a great Instagram feed. Millie makes jewelry that it's right up my alley with all of her beautiful African beads and beautiful treasures that she creates. I love seeing those pop up in my feed. Sometimes I'm a bad commenter. I don't always get comments out, but I see you folks what you're making, and it makes me super happy. So here, see, look at that spiral right there. And I'm gonna lay that spiral there and let me hammer. It wasn't that loud, so I'm just gonna hammer it now. Leslie Rogers, I like being called a clever old thing. You clever old thing. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna congratulate myself and call myself that when I achieve something I like. So now, this is where the finesse comes in, right? Like I could just stop it here and done, and boom, I'd be finished. But it needs some finesse. So watch what I do. I'm going to lift that out of the way. I've got some room here. Some of you know what's going to come. I've got some room here, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab that wire, make little quarter turns so my wire has some interesting look to it, right? Like this. I've got plenty of room. I've got plenty of space. If your wire is super tight around your bead, you can't do this because there's not enough room. I'm going to go and do the back now too. If it doesn't want to twist, don't force it because you'll break the wire. These are a little tight, so I'm not going to do too much. Now, see this spiral, the way it's coming down here? I'm going to flip it. See what a nicer, can you see that? What a nicer line that has now. It just doesn't curl up like this. It comes around and swirls and goes underneath. So just by moving that little spiral, it makes a difference. You can also, with this double, I can come in and I can make it kind of like a little bail. Almost. I could pull these apart like that if I wanted. But this is going to go on cord, so I want to keep it together. I am going to give it just a slight tap, not a lot, and then round it back up, shape it back up with your little, use your pliers like mandrels. Okay, so that's it. There's another charm. Okay. All right. Bam. Okay. Let's do, I love how Christine is giving all of these tips. That's tip number 4. Never pass up an opportunity to finesse. Let's make another charm. I don't know. I'm just making this up. This may all be wrong. I'm kind of into that spiraling thing. Where's my little piece of 18 gauge with that coiling thing? Let's push this together. Can't be real tight because, or real tight around the wire, because then I won't be able to pull it out. I have no idea. You're going, Kate, where's this going? No idea. 22 gauge in my hand, 18 gauge. That's kind of cool. Stick this through the center. Don't pull it too tight because there's no armature on the inside for it. Let me do just a little overwrapping now with this. I can go under. Looks a little like the dog's breakfast, but it's not too bad yet. Let me see. See if I can. I think that coiling technique has some promise, but I need to hang out with it a little bit more. Let me bring this up and underneath. Put this together. Just bear with me. I know it's not my best work yet, but hang on, just stay with me. Stay with me, kids. Double it over. I'm going to do a double wrap. Bring that around. Wrap these as if they were one wire. Let's clean this up. Straighten this out. Grab those two. Straighten this out. Tighten everything in. It's looking better. Tighten that. Spiral. Come on, close. There we go. It's a little bit easier for me to spiral this way, so I shall. Remember how I like that flip, that finesse? So it has a little bit of a nicer line to it. I'm going to wrap this over the top so that spiral stays. And I'm going to wrap it here. This, I think, in bare copper, this would look great antiqued, I think, in some liver of sulfur. And just hit with a polishing pad on the highlights to highlight it. So there is kind of an interesting little nugget. Sorry, my hands are a little sweaty. That's kind of cool. It's like a little, I don't know, like a little sea urchin or something. So there's that one. Let me see. People are asking, let me see. What? Let me zoom in on both of these so you can see those a little closer. I'm going to look at the Calder picture one more time. Let me get it. Okay, so it looks like, okay, I see. I see what that's all about. Okay, let me see if I can do that. I don't know if I can or not. Let me give you my hot take on it. So it looks like those pieces, those bezels, are done in two parts. I'm going to get something a little bit bigger. Let me see what happens. 20 gauge I'm going to use. 18 might be a little heavy. 22 maybe not heavy enough. Uh, 18 inches-ish. See how on the, like, let's look at that shard, that one that has, it's like the little arched shard, right? With the 3 little loops at the bottom there. So what he did was, I think he did these loops as the cage around the outside, and then through those loops, he used a finer gauge wire to hold the shards in. Okay, so let's make a frame. I'm going to make a frame with this, or at least that's my take on it. Okay, where's my stool? There we go. All right, so let me do some round loops. I'm not going to even measure this against anything. I'm just going to make some loops, and then I'm going to see what it works around. How does that sound? There we go. 2 of them. He didn't make them too big. I have a tendency when I do stuff like this to make them kind of big. 3. This could all end in tears, but hopefully it won't. 4. I don't know. How far apart are they spaced? No idea. 1/2 inch? 5/8? Something. Whatever feels right. I don't know. This is practice. Who cares? So that loop, they're kind of smaller, right? And this is 20. 2 here. Grace. Hi, my friend Grace. I would say that if you're doing this in real life, you might want to go up to 18 gauge. 20 is a little more malleable for me when I am, when I'm trying to sketch something out, right? Which is what I'm doing here. So if I were going to do this in real life, yeah, I'd probably use 18, but 20 for practicing for me right now. Okay, so these are a little bit smaller here and here. Those are a little bit larger. Can you see it right there? I'll zoom in. You folks, I can hear you cheering me on from all over the world. I love it. Okay. I'm going to flatten it. You need to be careful, though, friends, when you hammer wire that's crossed, because that's when you can break the wire. Okay? If I had, my buddy Corinne Gurry from way back in the day used to sell the wire jig, the I can't remember what the name of her jig was, but she would whack the wire between 2 bench blocks. I don't know if you folks remember that, going to the whole bead show like in the 90s. And it would be super loud because Corinne would be whacking 2 bench blocks together, smashing her wire. So I'm not going to whack the 2 bench blocks together, but I am. See how if I just gently took that chasing hammer, feel those taps like that, not hard. it brings everything, it trues everything up. See that? That's what I wanted to do. And it also work hardens this a little bit. Okay, so I like the looks of that. Okay, let me zoom back out. Okay, yeah, I knew, Grace. I knew you'd remember. I know, it's super satisfying to do that, right? So now, oh, thingamajig, yeah, the wire wizard. She was known, wasn't she known as the wire wizard? I think is what Corinne dubbed herself. Gosh, those were fun. Those were fun times. Let's see if I cage. What do I want? You know what? I think I'm going to use that. It's a little smaller. This is going to come around. I think I need like 2 more. What do you think? Okay. Oh, this is smart. Look at this. I've used a hockey puck. Yes, a rubber puck instead of a block to harden wire. Sure. And a rubber hammer. You could definitely do that. And you could have your bench block down and your rubber over the top of it and do that. Yeah, there was the wig jig and then there was the thingamajig or the wire wizard jig. There were 2. It was like the dueling banjos, right? There were 2 jigs out on the market then. We would always dub Corinne the hardest working woman in the bead business because, man, she would do those shows. That was back in like 93, 94, 95. We would travel all over. We'd do the whole bead show. And this loop I'm making the smallest here. And Corinne, she would have her booth set up. Corinne Gurry is her name. Corinne's still around. She doesn't make jewelry anymore, though I don't think she makes jewelry anymore, but she really was a wire influencer back in the day. And such a fun lady. This is one of our Philippine wood flat lozenge or like lentil beads here. It's fairly light. It kind of looks like stone, doesn't it? It's cross-hatched on the top, right? So see, now I'm kind of measuring it. Yeah, there we go. I like that. I like how those are coming up, right? So it's not a cab, it's a bead. So it's though you could do this with a cabochon too, but it's a bead, one of those lozenge shaped beads. So now I'm just going to come in and I'm going to just kind of hold this in there so that it goes around the bead. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to wire wrap this closed. Okay, this is a little bit of guesswork here, but I'm going to do this. And this. See, I want it to go around, so it needs to be a little closer. Just have a light touch. And again, that's why I'm using 20 gauge here. A little easier on my hands to play around with this wire. And then I could always redo this in 18. Thanks, Christine. The bead is even better in real life. I love, love, love this bead. It would make a great earring. See how this now fits on there? I like it. So, I'm going to keep this as it is, and I'm going to go to a smaller gauge of wire. I'm going to go to 22. Mary has a question about when do you use a rubber mallet and when do you use rawhide. So I know that everybody has opinions on this. I have both, to be honest. I have a rubber mallet that I like a lot, and I didn't start using a rubber mallet until I started when I worked with Lisa Kelly over at Beeducation. She loved her rubber mallets, and I was always a traditional rawhide mallet kind of a gal. But rawhide mallets take a while to break in, right? You have to break up the face of the rawhide mallet and stuff. So I like the rubber mallet for how instant it is to work with. You know what? I don't want to do this. I'm going to take this out because my wire needs to come at this, at least I think it does, from both sides. So see how I started on the end? I lied. I need to start in the center. So I'm actually going to get another piece of wire. I'm going to make it a little bit longer. And I'm going to start at it from the center. So I'm going to find the middle. This wire is way too long. This is probably 2 feet, maybe a little bit more. So I'm going to come in here and capture it this way and this way, because I need to have this wire supported, or this object supported with wires coming from both ends. There we go. Does that make sense? Instead of weaving it back and forth. Now, my spidey sense tells me to start this way and wrap it kind of in a star kind of a pattern. But I do like that zigzag of just going across. But let me do, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, and 2. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go through that loop at the bottom. Like that. Okay, there we go. And form it to the bead. So there's that one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do the same with this. No wonder he was a mechanical engineer, right? I was a theater arts major, so that's what I've got going for me. Hi, may I take your order? Okay. No, I learned how to, I use my skills every day. What I learned in the theater, it helps me every day. You learn how to improvise, for sure. All right. So now this is in there. So now I think what I can do is go back and forth around this object. Like I'm kind of lacing up a shoe. Yeah, I could tape it. I thought about using some painter's tape. I could do that, but I don't know. Sometimes tape hinders me more than it helps me. But if you were going to tape it, I'd use the blue painter's tape. There we go. See how I'm lashing this back and forth through these little eyelets, and I'm going to follow it up with the other wire. I mean, I guess I could have just done a wire from one side and done it that way, but I like the idea of the tension of the wire coming from one direction and then the other. But I can always, I don't know, let me just see. But is this making sense of at all for you? Right? I'm just going back and forth. You could make these loops a little smaller if you wanted. Looks like you also did some with coils around the sides. Now I'm just going to finish it off right here by bringing it around this loop, the inside of that loop. I'm going to clip this away. Pull it to where I want it. Another tip, I've got tip number 5 for you, Christine. Don't try and force the wire into the shape that you want it to be in just one go. Okay? Kind of place it like I did here, and then you have to kind of move it into its final place. Wire likes finesse, which I said earlier, but it's really true. See, there we go. Now let me do this side. I don't know, maybe it doesn't need that side. Let me look at the back. I mean, it's caged in there. It's not going anywhere. Let me see if I can fix this top one. Let me straighten this out. Let me straighten this one out a little. It might be too wire heavy, right? I think the cool thing about what Calder did was there wasn't a whole bunch of wire right here, right? So, yeah, and this looks pretty even. And this comes from all of those years of, you just have to practice. See, now I'm kind of finessing everything, putting everything into place. I'm going to neaten this up with this wrap. Spiral this to the back. There's always room for a spiral. It's not my best one, but it's not my worst one either, so I'm not going to worry about it. I don't know. It doesn't really add. Never mind. Clip. Tuck the end in. Yeah, that's better. Now, the way that he connected these was he made a spiral, and I've got 2 legs here to deal with. So I think what I'm going to do, let me make a spiral first. I don't know, this is about 3 inches-ish. Because I need that large center of that spiral. Kim is saying you could go back and forth kind of like a spirograph. That would look great too. My buddy Lisa Kelly, one of her signature pieces is, and if you go over to Beaducation, you'll see it, and the name right now is escaping me. But she does this really cool thing with a blank, and she puts a crystal, a flat back or a point back Swarovski crystal in it, and then spirographs around the edge. So cool. You'll find it on Beaducation. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the project, but that is but you could do that similar kind of thing here. That is a classic Lisa Niven Kelly technique. I'm going to keep these straight, going straight across, since this is an homage to Calder. I would probably put those little lightning bolt kind of things, but look at that. That is a piece worthy. I could also dangle that down. Which I'm going to do. I'm going to put it right there. I've got all these little spare bits. Then let's see how the thread works. Okay, I mean, this won't be complete, but at least I've got some pieces now, right? Let me make a few spirals. Round and round and round and round and round and round and round, like that. Hammer, hammer, hammer. Sorry if that's a little loud. I'm putting my bench block on my velvet pad right here, so it does muffle the sound. You don't want something that's too springy, or else you'll get too much bounce back and you won't get a good hammered impression. But the velvet pad, it has that cardboard underneath, so you could also put a piece of cardboard under too. I'm not going to put these on all of them. I think I'm going to make one more. I think this is kind of cool. I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel pretty good. Thanks, Alexander Calder. Here, let me zoom in while I make my last one so you can see that up close. Pam, I love it. It makes you want to make things. Yes, girl, go do it. You don't need much. Just come in and, just get a couple of beads and some wire and turn your hands loose, right? Doesn't matter. This, again, it's 20. I want 20 gauge for my spirals. I think this is 20. Start in that center. Whip it around. You could tighten the center if you want by just kind of smushing it down a little. I like the centers of my spirals to be kind of open. Then flat with the flat nose, and just make them as large as you want to make them. Just small little turns, see that? I'm right-handed, so I'm holding the working tool right here with my right hand and manipulating the wire with my left. So there's that. Hammer, hammer, hammer. Get that spiral, edge of your plier right at the center of the spiral. Sorry, I'm out of frame. I love, Paula, your grandfather was an avid rock polisher. My gran was too. We had a rock tumbler in our garage, and we loved to tumble rocks. We would go out and find jasper, poppy jasper, rose quartz, all kinds of cool stuff. We loved stones. Polishing stones is so cool. Let me attach this. I'm going to have all of these spirals go the same way. At least I think that, nope, it's not going the same way. So let me flip it. Okay. Might need one more, but I'm going to go with 3. All right, let me zoom out. Let's take a look at our Calder inspiration one more time, shall we? Okay, so I've got the clasp in the back. Okay. All right, I'm going to start this in the center. I don't know. Whoop, I lost the comments. Let me get rid of this photo. That's what I want. All right, let me take another. If you have water, take a drink of water now. Hydrate. Let's hydrate. Okay. It looks kind of like a globe a little bit, right? Doesn't it? Like what is it? We cover the world, like the Sherman-Williams logo, right? Is that just me? Maybe I'm just making that up. But it looks kind of dynamic. I like it. Okay, I'm going to use, what am I going to use? Chinese knotting cord. I've got Chinese knotting cord. I also have hemp. Hemp would be much more Calder, I think. But I think I'm going to use CKC because CKC is much more Kate Richburg. I'm going to make this short. I'm not going to make it a really super long piece because I might add some more things or something here. So I just want to test this out. So I have no idea what the result is going to be. So I don't want to waste a lot of material here. So I'm going to cut, I don't know, a little less than a yard here. And I'm going to look at this one more time. So it's a twist. It's a tension twist. So maybe, let me get the clasp instead. I was thinking about starting in the center, but maybe I'll start at the end. I'm going to slide this through. And I think what he did was he just knotted it. So I'm just going to knot it on. Maybe I'd glue it or something. I don't know. We're just testing. Okay. And then we're going to just twist. Oh, okay. Hang on. I need my awl. It's coming back to me. To do a twist like this, I do this a lot when I do tassels and charms and stuff. So I'm going to do a single one. This is where I start to veer off into the Kate Richburg world of things. I could braid them. Sure, the braid would look good too, actually. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to do this. I'm going to twist, twist, twist until it kind of twists back on itself. No, I don't like that either. I do actually like that braided idea, Karen. I think it'll be better. So let me just do this. This might take a little more playing around with, but it's all right. There's that. Since I'm going to braid, maybe I'll do two colors. Maybe I'll do one hemp cord. And, okay, I'm getting there. My brain is, we're going to run over just a little bit, but that's just how it's going to be. Instead of attaching it to the clasp, because I need the clasp needs to have some movement around where it is, right? So it can twist. I'm going to get a jump ring, and I'm going to braid it around a jump ring. Let me look for one here. Let me see. What I want is a 6mm. I don't even really care about the color. I just want it to be the size. Here's a 6mm. And it's in brass, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Or, well, you know, I've got these little pieces here. This manufactured jump ring with all of this handmade stuff doesn't look right. So I'm going to make my little figure 8 closure. Do a loop. Cut, do a loop. When in doubt, just make a finding. Those jump rings weren't the right thing. Needs to be large enough so that it can fit inside that clasp too. So see, there's my little figure 8. Let me hammer it. Flip it. Chain loose. That's bent chain. Where's my regular chain loose? Oh, there. Make sure it's nice and closed so my threads don't come out. Okay. Let's put this together. I'm going to use this third one to tie. Let me see if it goes this way. Can I silk wrap it and have it be, if it goes this way and I silk wrap it towards the loop, I think it needs to go this way. Wrap, 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 goes through. Yeah, okay. So here we are. The loop is pointing down here. I'm going to silk wrap, but I'm also then going to just leave the end of the silk wrap down or intact and use it as my third leg for braiding. Silk wrapping is in our skill builder section. You've seen me do it. But see how I have the loop pointing down towards where the necklace is going to be? So that when I pull this up and I pull the connection underneath the silk wrap, I'll just keep this strand. Usually I'd cut it off, right? But instead, I'm just going to keep it. So now it's ready to, braid with. That's smart if I do say so. I'm going to clip it to the end of, or to the edge of my beadboard. So it's tight. And I like the idea of braiding. I like a braid. And Calder's piece was kind of loose. So I'm not going to do a real tight braid. We have a project called Beaded Braid. That's kind of a cool one. Keep the tension. I'm going to make this kind of a mini because I'll come back and play around with this a little bit more. But Let's put one of these guys on. Need a clamp so my braid doesn't come apart. Put this through. I want these to be even, so I'm just going to cut this off. I want to knot this. Can you tell I want to knot it? But the knot might be too... Let's look at this. Let's look at the picture. Those look knotted. Okay. Maybe he just knotted it around like this. Or that's how I'm going to do it. Okay. Clamp it. Keep braiding. Get these ends, go through. This is why the spiral has such a big loop. Get it down where you want it. Okay, now I'm going to come in, pull it up, and tie these ends. I'm just kind of making a little overhand slip knot here just to secure them. And then I'll move on to the next braid. Come on. Tighten it up, tighten it up. Whoops, don't tighten it up so much that your spiral comes undone and you don't want it to go too close to that other one. I'm gonna have to play around with what knot I'd use, but see where we're going with this? This isn't bad. Then I'm not going to braid this part because I want to get to the clasp. This will have to be redone eventually. But here's this. Here's this knot. It doesn't even really need to be braided. It could just go loose like this. That might even be more attractive. I don't know. Oh, I need one more figure 8. Let me make it. Do I have a little piece of wire here? 20, 18 gauge something? Somebody? This will work. Round hex plier. Let me get it a nice flush cut. Nice round loop. Hammer that down. Hold your fingers off the edge of your bench block and you won't smush your fingers as you're hammering. Remember, you don't have to be super heavy-handed with the hammer, okay? You don't have to really hit it so hard to achieve results. So here's this, and I'm just going to tie this on. I mean, I would do another silk wrap or whatever, right? But you're picking up what I'm putting down. You get all these ends together. The world's tiniest necklace, it'll be perfect for Alfred. Be a cat necklace. Oops. Come in. And then I would silk wrap it. But instead, I'm just going to knot it off at the end. Because, like you, I want to see what's going on with this clasp. Okay. All right. So here's this. And I'm going to clip this extra away right here. Just to get it out of my way. All right, let's get that clasp. Where is it? Here it is. Moment of truth, right? Open this up. This loop probably even could be a little smaller, but that's what I've got, so. And you just have to, sometimes you just have to kind of sketch this out, right? I'm just sketching this out in wire. There we go. Okay. Now, there we go. Together like that. It does twist. Maybe that's an integral part of the design, because see what happens when I twisted the clasp? The cord kind of twisted. That might be the mystery solved. That might be what it's all about. Is that this clasp holds the twist in the cord. Mechanical engineer indeed. So that's how this works. Hence the thread. So I don't think without some kind of mechanical thing to help this, to move, this would have to be a mechanical piece, right, that turns around, right? But if it's on thread, it'll twist this thread together and bring these strands together like this. So no need for braiding. Look at that. So there's my tiny. You could continue to wire wrap these. I think they would look cool. I think I would wire wrap them with some spirals. Maybe. I don't know. Play around with that. But it's not too bad of an idea considering. Let me get a little closer to it. But yeah, it would need a swivel, some kind of a swivel, if you didn't want this to twist. But I don't mind it. I'm not mad at it at all. I like it. All right. Yes, this does have a very old world kind of map-like look to it. All right. Well, I went over a bit today because I wanted to finish this off, but I hope this gives you folks some ideas. So just to run down, the wire I used 18 for the clasp. I used 20 for the outside here, 22 for the weaving, 20 for the spirals. I think I used 20 on these. You could do, though this armature feels pretty sturdy, so you could use 18 gauge with this or keep it at 20. I might put spirals all along here. I think the movement of those spirals are kind of cool. I think maybe I would also do some spirals just on their own to come in here around the piece. So I don't know. There's a lot that you can play around with here. Remember, you're going to need a chain nose, a round nose, and a flush cutter. I use my bench block and my chasing hammer. That is it. So, whew, I'm exhausted. It's time for me to go eat some lunch. So, do folks remember, if you like our content, and we really appreciate you being here and watching with us, don't forget to hit all of those socials. Hit that like, subscribe, notification, join our Facebook group, The Bead Table on Facebook. Check out our Pinterest pages, tag us on Insta, all of those great things so that we can interact, because interaction is key. So, my little cup of tiny coffee. Also, you can find all of the products that I used in today's broadcast right on beadshop.com. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Give us an email over at info@beadshop.com, and do stay in touch by signing up for our newsletter. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Next week, Drea is going to be with me. We have a beautiful project from Drea. It's going to be great. It's a beautiful necklace. It's one of her signature pieces. I'm really excited to share that with you. And then the following week, we have a new kit from Janice. You saw a little bit of it on Tuesday, a little sneak peek. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. So you'll have more information about that. That's all I've got, folks. I will see you next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay creative. Happy Father's Day to all of those father figures, or to those single parents that did the heavy lifting of the mom and the dad, or if you're just a pet parent as well. Happy Father's Day to you. I will see you next week with Drea. Stay creative, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.